Today's sport, here's Rex.
Good day, Scotty, and good evening, everybody. Well, Sydney runner Amaroo Lloyd today won the Sun City to Surf for the second consecutive year. Robert de Castello's race record set in 1981 still stands, though. Lloyd's winning time was 41 minutes and 51 seconds.
Firstly, a message for our Los Angeles marathon hopeful. Then they were off.
They're off.
Over 30,000 runners headed off down William Street in this 14th city to surf. Andrew Lloyd, Jody Kearns and Adam Hoyle got a good start with an early break from the thousands of fun runners. Some backmarkers didn't cross the starting line until others were 10 minutes into their run. Such was the congestion at the start. Hoyle led Lloyd 12 minutes into the race as they approached Rose Bay, but the notorious Heartbreak Hill saw Lloyd surge away to a comfortable lead, which he retained for the rest of the race. Heartbreak Hill had quite the opposite effect on other runners. Many slowed to a walk, while some hoped to get a boost with a drink and a few deep breaths. Lloyd finished over 10 seconds ahead of Hoyle, posting a personal race best, 39 seconds outside de Castello's record.
Well done and congratulations to Andrew Lloyd.
Whoever gets up the hill first is generally the winner. I don't think it's been changed since the race started. 16-year-old Sharon Dalton of Manly was the first woman over the line in 50 minutes and 3 seconds for her first city to surf. Karen Pratt, 7 National News.
Well, a day of upsets and sensations in today's round of rugby league across a wet Sydney town. Canterbury put paid to South Sydney for 1984 in a controversial game at Redfern. Norths upset the Panthers 28-18. Balmain took a long time to account for Western Suburbs. Parramatta got the better of Easts in a thriller, and Illawarra continued the upsets with a 4-point win over St George. Well, Canterbury started very slowly, allowing South to run to a 6-0 lead after 17 minutes at Redfern today, and it took a very controversial Terry Lamb try to get the Bulldogs rolling and run out ultimate winners 20 points to 6. A combination of very tight defence and some weird refereeing frustrated South's players into some stupid niggling actions, which culminated with their new captain Mario Fennick being sin-binned for 10 minutes for dissent. Here's the way the action went with the tries, and South's hit with the first one, and it was a good try. If they could have kept this style of football up, they'd have done better. Thomas gets it away to Popchi, and after 5 minutes of handle, he goes over in the corner. Good stuff. But Canterbury looked very ordinary early, but then Broman intervened with a beautifully judged little kick, but I'll swear Terry Lamb didn't get a hand properly to this ball to exert downward pressure, and that try was given, and that was a major turning point because South seemed to fall apart. And then Mortimer, the Mortimer magic, out to Potter, and then a long floating pass out to Peter Mortimer, and he was in. And then this beautiful bit of Steve Mortimer magic and pace from Mannix, and that's what he's in the side for, to score this sideline and go in and score a very good try. Well, Norths were a thorn on the side of Balmain last week, and today they were the same for Penrith. Mark Levy's kickers charged down. Second rower Gary Dunbar is on the spot to pick up the ball. He slips, stands and gets it onto Ricky Warford, and he's scored a bundle of tries for the Bears lately. Norths were never in trouble, and tries came as easily as this, with Spina hacking the ball. He dives on it, as does Rogers, and the try, if you can call it that, is given to Rogers. Well, St George could ill afford losing to the Steelers, but they did just that, with ex-Saints Rod Reddy getting away with a forward pass in the lead-up to the Steelers' first try. The Saints could really only blame themselves for the loss, with soft defence like this, which allowed Illawarra 5'8" Greg Mackey to score the first of his 2 tries under the posts. So the league ladder, very, very congested, looks like this, with Canterbury clear on 36 points from Parramatta 34, St George 32, then Manly and Canberra on 28, Penrith now 27, then Balmain, Illawarra and Souths are 2 points back 24, then Norths, Cronulla, Easts and Western Suburbs. Well, it was the same old story for the Sydney Swans at the SCG this afternoon, another defeat. North Melbourne outkicked the Swans to the tune of 18-5 to 17-6 for a 15-point victory. Well, the Nissan Turbo team has struck gold for the second successive year at Amaroo Park this afternoon, with Queenslander Gary Scott scoring an effortless win in the Silastic 300.
Wet weather conditions played havoc with a number of the front runners in the Silastic Enduro. Queenslander Gary Scott had pole position for the race, but elected to start the event on slick or dry track rubber. That gave former Kiwi and Rainmaster Jim Richards the break he needed. Richards reeled off a number of quick laps in the wet, but as the track began to dry, his times fell away and he found himself caught up and passed by both Terry Finnegan and Peter Brock. Finnegan and Scott made their forward moves after 30 laps, but the Commodore driver's race had to end when he slammed in the concrete wall. Brock also went out of the race after a bump with a slower car on the entry to the pit road. Scott, though, drove brilliantly and crossed the finishing line 23 seconds ahead of Harrop Harris in the Commodore and Peter McLeod's Mazda RX-7.
Almost a year since Ben Lexon's wing keel helped Australia too to win the America's Cup, the Americans have come up with their own. But it's mounted on a well-known Sea Warrior, which will be a trophy challenger.
The way to get the Cup back is with a boat that measures 12 metres and has 13-metre performance.
The Americans are still smarting and a little dazed. It's been the same since Alan Bond and his merry men sailed out of Newport, Rhode Island with the Cup that had remained in this country for 132 years. But with their challenge still more than 3 years and 24,000 kilometres away, the courageous two syndicate have decided to reveal all.
I christen thee Courageous Two!
Designer Leonard Green calls them Vortex Wings, having dispensed with the term keel. The rest of the boat is the old Courageous One, a Ted Turner discard.
If Alan Bond put a case of beer on Vortex Wings, they'd slide off.
An apparent reference to the proud placing of a case of cans on Australia 2's keel when it was first displayed last year. The Americans obviously think their new keel is more streamlined, and they've already begun to celebrate. Perhaps they'll be too drunk to race by the time they get to Perth. In the United States, Greg Hoy reporting for 7 National News.
I say ban the keel. Pardon me. Relegation threatened Croatia gained a valuable point from defending champion Sydney City in today's National Soccer League. Both sides scored a goal for the stalemate. Marconi and Parramatta did the same, while Leichhardt edged out St George 3-2. Olympic thrashed Wollongong 3-0, and Penrith and Brisbane both failed to find the net in their clash. Well, let's look at those all-important soccer pools information for you. The winning numbers are 5, 6, 8, 21, 28 and 32, with 1 the supplementary. Now again, 5, 6, 8, 21, 28 and 32, with 1 the supplementary. That's all there is. There isn't any more. Scott.
And still to come, Mike Bailey's weekday weather, but first, footy tab dividends for lucky fans.